Amid the hazy mist of an African dawn, the roars of three male lions tore through the sky. At the center of the battle stood Leo, a scarred warrior facing two grown rivals alone, both determined to defend the last territory they still possessed. Every strike could decide life or death because the cruiser was everything. Yet what is truly remarkable is that just a few years earlier, Leo had been fighting hyenas and vultures over scraps of rotting carcasses, driven away by other lion tribes like a homeless outcast. What transformed that lonely lion into a warrior powerful enough to challenge two kings of the savannah? That journey began on the day Leo lost everything. A few years earlier, Leo was just a young male lion who had only recently reached adolescence. According to the harsh laws of lion society, this was also the time when he was no longer allowed to remain in the pride where he was born. As the new dominant males took over, Leo was driven away by fierce roars and relentless attacks. No longer protected by his mother, no longer surrounded by lionesses, and no longer able to feed on the spoils of successful hunts, Leo was forced to enter an unfamiliar land completely alone. What lay ahead was not freedom, but a brutal trial where only the strongest could survive. Before Leo lay a world that offered no welcome to the young. After only 2 days of wandering, hunger began to wear him down with every step. The scent of rotting flesh carried by the wind led Leo to the carcass of a zebra that had been dead for several days. But that meat already had owners. Dozens of vultures crowded together, tearing at strips of meat, while a pack of hyenas lingered nearby, waiting for the perfect moment to steal. Leo charged in, hoping to claim a few bites, but was immediately surrounded by chilling laughs and powerful jaws. If he wanted to survive, he would have to learn to fight for even the things that no one else wanted anymore. Leo eventually managed to secure a few small pieces of meat, but the price was fresh bite wounds across his shoulder and foreleg. Before he could recover, he was forced to continue his aimless journey across the vast grasslands. Wherever Leo went, the warning roars of dominant male lions echoed through the savannah. They charged after him relentlessly, forcing him to flee before each encounter turned into a hopelessly one-sided fight. As a young male, he was not yet strong enough to claim a territory, but he was no longer young enough to be accepted by his pride. On the savannah, it seemed there was no place left where Leo truly belonged. Weeks of wandering quickly turned into months, stretching across both the rainy and dry seasons. Hunger never stopped following Leo, but by now he no longer rushed recklessly into every opportunity. He learned to wait patiently in the tall grass, watch the direction of the wind before approaching prey, and strike only when the moment was truly right. At times, Leo succeeded in bringing down a young antelope, but almost immediately afterward, the scent of blood attracted unwelcome visitors. Hyenas, vultures, and even larger male lions were always ready to steal his hard-earned meal, forcing Leo to keep fighting for every precious bite. Then the brutal dry season arrived. Water holes shrank into shallow muddy pits, while herds of antelope began migrating to distant lands. For 3 straight days, Leo failed to catch anything. His stomach clung tightly to his ribs, and every step grew heavier in the scorching sun. In desperation, he boldly rushed in to claim the carcass of a buffalo that had just died. But within seconds, more than 20 hyenas emerged from the tall grass, growling as they charged toward him. Completely overwhelmed by their numbers, Leo had no choice, carrying with him a few fresh bite wounds and an empty stomach. Nightfall brought no peace. Leo lay beneath a thorny acacia bush, trying to preserve the last of his strength, but the scent of blood from his wounds drifted with the wind. In the distance, the eerie cackles of hyenas grew steadily closer. They would never dare hunt a healthy lion, but an exhausted one was a different story. Leo sprang to his feet, letting out a thunderous roar to intimidate them as he slowly backed away into the darkness. The chase lasted for hours, ending only when the first light of dawn appeared. He survived, but at the cost of another sleepless night and a body growing thinner by the day. If he had to endure just a few more days like this, Leo might never live long enough to reach adulthood. He no longer wasted his strength on hopeless chasing. Instead, he spent hours lying motionless among the withered golden grass, silently observing herds of antelope, shifting directions, and every reaction of his prey. He learned to approach from downwind, waiting patiently until a young animal strayed from the herd before delivering a decisive attack. For the first time in months, Leo brought down a healthy Thompson's gazelle entirely on his own. That meal did more than satisfy his hunger. It marked the moment the young lion truly began to become a skilled hunter. During his wandering journey, Leo unknowingly crossed into a lush stretch of grassland that belonged to another lion pride. Hunger left him with no choice. After hours of patiently stalking his prey, Leo finally brought down a young wildebeest. For the first time in days, a meal large enough to restore his strength lay before him. But just as he tore into the first mouthfuls of meat, a deep, thunderous roar echoed from behind. 2 thick-maned male lions were charging toward him, their eyes blazing with fury. In this territory, the prey did not belong to the one who made the kill. It belonged to the kings who ruled the land. Leo immediately backed away, raised his mane, and answered with a roar, but the difference in strength was undeniable. The 2 fully grown male lions advanced slowly, radiating confidence as though they already knew the outcome of the fight. One powerful swipe slammed Leo onto the hard, dry ground. Before he could get back to his feet, the The other lion lunged forward and sank its teeth deep into his shoulder. Leo fought back desperately, then seized a brief opening to escape. Behind him, the two dominant males calmly claimed the prey that Leo had risked his life to hunt. Blood streamed down his foreleg, but the deepest pain was not from his wounds. He realized that until he had a territory of his own, every hard-earned meal was stolen away in the blink of an eye. The horizon, leaving behind the scent of blood and the prey he had lost. Every step sent sharp pain through his wounded body, but from that day on, he never again recklessly entered unfamiliar territory without first observing it. From atop a high mound, Leo spent many days quietly watching neighboring lion prides patrol their domains. He memorized the places where they marked their boundaries with urine, the times they roared their warning, and the paths they traveled most often. Gradually, Leo came to understand that strength alone was not enough to become a ruler. A true king had to learn to read the rhythm of the entire savannah before delivering the decisive strike. Time passed quietly, and with each rainy season, Leo's body changed dramatically. His once thin mane gradually became thicker and darker. Powerful muscles stood out beneath his sun-bronzed skin, and the countless scars across his shoulders and muzzle became lasting reminders of the times he had narrowly escaped death. By now, Leo was capable of bringing down young zebras and weakened wildebeest on his own. Even the hyena clans that had once forced him to flee no longer dared to approach so easily. A single thunderous roar was enough to make them hesitate. Leo was no longer the one being hunted. For the first time, the animals of the savannah began to treat the appearance of this solitary lion with caution. One afternoon, while standing atop a rocky outcrop overlooking the grasslands ahead, Leo spotted what he had been waiting for over many years. Not far away lay a fertile territory filled with abundant animals and a reliable year-round water source. But the land was far from unclaimed. Full-grown male lions patrolled its borders, their thunderous roars echoing across the savannah as a warning to the intruders. Leo did not rush in. For many days, he quietly observed their patrol routes, their resting times, and the subtle signs that one of the dominant males had begun to slow down after years of ruling. Perhaps the opportunity Leo had waited for had finally arrived. That morning's dawn was eerily quiet. Leo crossed the territorial boundary with slow but unwavering steps. Only minutes later, a thunderous roar answered. Two dominant male lions immediately charged in from opposite directions, attempting to cut off Leo's escape. With nowhere left to run, Leo stood his ground, lowered his stance, and locked eyes with his opponent. The three lions circled one another in an atmosphere so tense it felt ready to snap. Then, in a single instant, the larger male lunged forward. Leo twisted aside to evade the first powerful swipe and countered with a crushing bite to his rival's shoulder. The battle for dominance had finally begun. Dust billowed into the air beneath the force of each crushing collision. The second male lion immediately joined the fight, turning the battle into the one-against-one confrontation Leo had anticipated. Sharp claws repeatedly tore through the skin along his back and flanks, while powerful bites stained his mane red with blood. Each time Leo managed to drive one opponent back, the other instantly attacked him behind. But instead of panicking, Leo refused to let the two lions trap him between them. He kept moving constantly, forcing his opponents to get in each other's way. Years of surviving alone had forged a level of endurance that these kings, accustomed only to defending their territory, had never been forced to develop. Many years after that fateful battle, the territory once stained with blood had become the home of a powerful lion tribe. Under Leo's protection, generations of cubs were born and raised amid roaring grasslands and successful hunts. No longer the local outcast who once fought hyenas over rotting carcasses or fled from rival kings, Leo had become the lion every intruder feared. Every dawn, his mighty roar echoed for miles across the savannah, proclaiming his rule over a land earned through countless scars. But in nature, no king reigns forever. One day, young males would come to challenge Leo, just as he had once challenged the rulers before him. And so history would repeat itself. What endures is not the throne, but the legacy of a warrior who turned years of exile into the foundation of an entire dynasty. On the African savannah, Leo's journey came to an end, but the story of survival, resilience, and nature's endless cycle would continue with every roar that echoed beneath the vast open sky.